What's up, YouTube? It's Eli Hybrid, or you could call me Elijah. Today I've got a pull session for you, so back and biceps, but this one's a bit more catered towards calisthenics, so it's a bit of a hybrid workout today. Today my main lift will be weighted pull-ups, really trying to focus on building my strength so that it can translate over into my endurance that I need for my calisthenics battle. From the time that this was recorded, I've got 8 days left to prepare. And as the saying goes, if you fail to prepare, you're prepared to fail. So I've looked back into a routine just so I can maximize my sessions. And I know some of you may be thinking, what do you mean locked back in? Weren't you already locked in? But the truth is, up until New Year's Eve, I did have a schedule, I did have a routine, but then things had changed. I had new goals for the new year. I wanted to keep up with old habits in order to be more well-rounded as a hybrid. One of my goals being running. I wanted to run a bit more frequently because towards the end of last year, I neglected that. And it links to my other fitness goal as well, which is to be more frequent and consistent with boxing. I also fell out with boxing as well because of my shoulder injury that was caused because of me just overexerting myself. I was doing boxing sessions and the next day I'll do push. I wasn't sleeping enough. I wasn't doing any rehab, or it's hard to fit in rehab when you're doing all these sports. You gotta make time for self-care as well as doing the intense work that you need to, which I clearly wasn't doing. And for more context, I already had this injury prior to starting calisthenics and taking it seriously. It kind of came through just overexerting myself at boxing at the time when I was doing it for 3 days a week. Back then I didn't know about any rehab. I wasn't prepping my shoulder properly, and then I got boxer's shoulder, which is also known as a shoulder impingement. And after I got that injury, I did rehab it myself. I did my own research, managed to fix the symptoms or manage the symptoms pretty much. But then shortly after joining a new club, I re-injured it, and this time it was worse. It was so bad I stopped training for a week straight. And then after that, I decided to ease back in, start off with calisthenics again. And I kind of stayed away from boxing for a while, longer than I should have, even once my shoulder pretty much was alright, but I was a bit scared to re-injure it again. But to get back to my point, once this challenge came along, I set that as my goal and made a plan from there. It's always easier to work towards something and make more progress than opposed to not having a goal and not having structure. But so far I've done my warm-up, mainly targeting my shoulders and my rotator cuff. After that I did some scapular pulls just to stabilize my back muscles and make sure I'm engaging my muscles properly during muscle ups and any pull movements I will be doing. Then I did a light 3-3-3. Saw how it goes: 3 muscle ups, 3 dips, 3 pulls. Then after that, I did some one-arm pull drills, which you're seeing now. I started off with 2 sets of archer pull-ups. This is something I've started doing recently again. Never really was a fan of it, or I never really bothered to try them. But then now I've seen the benefits. It helps to gauge my lats unilaterally. But before I continue, here's some one-arm pull attempts. And today just was not that day. Like, my back was already fatigued. Today should have been a rest day, but I was already in the gym. So it's like, I'm not going to go home. I might as well do the workout. But I wasn't disheartened by this because recently I did kind of unlock one-arm pulls on both arms. I'll say I'm 9% there. So I know on a good day, everything should be good. And now I'm finally starting the weighted pulls, doing 15 kg for explosive pull-up. I think this was for 3 to 6 reps, focusing on getting my chest to the bar as quickly as possible, so maximizing performance. So when it comes to drills like these where I'm trying to improve my movement or performance, that's when it's okay to not finish at the end of the rep range. And you stop when your form goes down, because you're trying to actually improve your muscle memory and get your body to understand its new adaptations and properties that you're trying to build on for whatever skill or sport you're trying to do. And that's the last of my explosive pull-up warm-up. So now I've got regular weighted pulls, but right now I'm putting on some chalk because I did try 50 kg off screen without any chalk and I didn't actually make any reps. So I was doing it, but my chin wasn't getting cleanly over the bar. And yeah, I was fatigued on this day, so I told you today was just not a good day, So right now I'm doing 35 kg. The aim was 6 reps with my chin fully over the bar, making sure to pause at the top. For this set, I think I ended up doing 4 clean reps, and then after that my last one was kind of iffy, so I left it at that. For this set, I did 25 kg for 8 reps. Here, I wasn't worried about the pause at the top because I knew I could move the weight, so I was just prioritizing my explosiveness. And quick advice for anyone that's trying to do weighted pull-ups or progressive to weighted pull-ups. You need to master the basic pull-up and understand tempos. If you're doing pull-ups and they're slow and controlled, they're going to be a bit more hypertrophy focused and focusing on like time under tension. But if you do them as quickly as I am, or just your body weight initially, you'll be working your explosiveness, which can translate to moves like muscle-ups. And the same applies to weighted pull-ups. So right now, I'm prioritizing explosiveness rather than building muscle with it. But you can use this to build muscle. However, if I did it heavier and a bit more slow and controlled, then I would feel much more. And this was 15 kg for 12 reps just to make up for the session, since I was supposed to go heavier and progressive overload. But gotta listen to your body, man. Because if you don't listen to the signals that your body's giving you, one day it will just give you a hard stop. And then that'll be either an injury or something that could have been prevented if you took a deload week or you took some time off. This was my attempt at banded high pulls. I still don't quite understand this movement, and like, I understand I'm supposed to do it with a swing, but I feel like I'm just not doing it correctly. And I can't lie, I haven't referenced a video to actually understand how I'm supposed to do it, so I just did this on the fly, to be fair. And because I don't do this too often, I decided to find out which band is actually right for me to do it for working sets. And I started off with red band, and then as you can see now with the black band, I'm much closer to the bar, so I'm trying to pull it to my waist. With the black band, I was quite happy with my attempts with the black band, then proceeded on to purple. But if you're wondering what's the purpose of this drill, this is to help you improve your pulling distance. So when I do muscle ups, instead of pulling to my chest, I can pull it lower. This drill is what's going to help me to get the no dip muscle up, or should I say the invisible kip muscle up. You can't really not dip at the top, you can only just lock out. And with the purple bands, I definitely overdid it because it's actually heavier than the black bands, but for some reason my performance was worse, which should have been a sign of that I was fatigued. But for some reason, I did it anyway, and I did more reps, which I don't know why I didn't just stop. But here's some coastal shrugs. I'm trying to build my upper traps right now, but I don't really mess with this exercise, you know. I feel like it's time for me to change exercises and replace this with face pulls on the cables. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm not doing it right, or maybe I'm not doing it with as much intensity as I need to, or enough volume for me to see results. But I ended up doing 2 sets of these, and I did 1 set of rows, and that was mainly due to my lats already being fatigued. Like, not just because of this exercise, but for some reason it just wasn't cooperating, so I couldn't even put on a heavier weight if I wanted to. But maybe I need to start pushing through and just firming it, because when it comes to injuries or fatigue for my push days, I can force my body to do it, but that's because I'm push dominant, so my body's just naturally adapted for push movements. But maybe to bridge the gap between my push strength and my pull strength, I just gotta send it, man, and forget the pain. Right now I'm doing external bicep curls, trying to target my outer on my bicep. I used a lighter weight of like 14 kg today because my biceps were already pre-fatigued from the weight pull-ups. And as weird as it sounds, I don't like building my arms with typical bodybuilding methods. I much prefer to build it through calisthenics movements. For example, weighted chin-ups, pelican curls, even this reverse grip Australian pull-up that I've learned. But I guess it makes sense, right? I'm focusing on building my physique to be tailored to a sport that I do, or in my case, sports. But nonetheless, I do prefer doing calisthenics-based movements that help me to build muscle strength. Because in my experience, I've become more aesthetic once I started doing weighted calisthenics, or a lot more calisthenics movements. For example, my triceps developed and just evolved once I started doing weighted dips. I remember when I found out there was actually 3 heads on the tricep, then all of a sudden, after doing weighted dips, I saw all 3 heads on the tricep. I was like, wow, this is serious. So for me, at least, this hybrid calisthenics training has definitely helped me to become more well-rounded. But that's just from a strength and aesthetic point of view. But when it comes to athleticism, that's where I need to remember to really lock in. Because having a good physique is nice and all, but not if it costs you your athleticism, your functionality, and like imagine losing mobility or saying, oh, I can't run because of muscle, man. Like that will never be me, bro. But yeah, I finished the session and this is just me doing some poses at the end. But the one thing I find funny about editing this video is that I realize I have a lot of dopey faces or like facial expressions that I just don't need to do, man. But that's it for the video. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe. Feel free to share with a friend.